Hey, what's up? You want to be able to reliably kill hordes of scavs? Sweet, then you're in the right place, because the first thing you're gonna have to worry about is making sure those shots land. And today, in this video, we're gonna be talking about just how to do that with the best sights in Escape from Tarkov. Alright guys, so for the first sight we're gonna go over today, it is the PK06. Now this thing you've seen on every single landmark stream, you've seen it on Quattro Ace, you see Willers use it, you see pretty much every big name uses it. This thing is so good. What makes it so good is it doesn't really have bad ergonomics when you put it on your gun, so you can still ADS and whip around really quickly. And also it gives you the depth of field, right? Like normally there's this trick where with sights, if you aim in and look around, you can see further. This sight kind of has that built in more than other sights. And also you can put a canted on your snipers. So if you put a canted sight, you can have this and a sniper sight, which is pretty OP. You'll see tons of Chads wearing it. The only drawback to this sight is it's a little expensive because it is like the meta sight. I mean, like I said, you'll see every streamer running a PK06 except like no food after midnight, which we'll talk about later. But yeah, the PK06 is definitely like the bread and butter gun. It's a little it's a little expensive, but if you farm scavs and just always check their guns, you'll find this thing on scav guns all the time. I rarely pay for it. PK06, probably the best sight to use for medium to close range engagements, in my opinion. Next up, we're going to talk about the XPS3. Now, this sight's really cool. Again, you'll see a lot of streamers using it, especially Landmark. He loves this thing because it doesn't mess up your ergo. It gives you that same little depth of field thing we talked about, and it's wicked cheap. Honestly, this sight kind of reminds me of if you guys ever played Modern Warfare 2, it reminds me of just like the holographic sight, and I used to love running around with the UMP and a silencer and that thing, but that's a different story. But if you're looking for another super close range sight, I think this is your other best bet. However, because it's my video, I have to put my own opinion in here. I love the UH1. This thing on M4s for some reason, I love the visual it gives you, especially with the recoil of the M4. It just, I don't know, you get so much control with this sight. I don't know why more people don't use it, to be honest with you. It might be because it's a little pricey, but for me personally, if I had to pick between the UH1 or the XP, I would go with the UH. But that's a personal thing. When it comes to streamers, I do see them using the XP a lot more. But that's enough for short range. Let's get into medium range, starting with the hammer. Now, the hammer, again, you're going to see a theme in this video where me saying streamers are using it all the time, and I think that's because they play the game so much, you know, they kind of know what's good and what's not. But you'll see a lot of people rocking the hammer, and in my opinion, it's because the ability to toggle. If you hold down control and right click, you can toggle. It lets you engage people at close range and medium so accurately, and honestly, pretty far. If my gun was loaded, that guy would be dead right now. Where are you? So it's not only good at close range and medium range, it also kind of keeps you protected at a decently large range. The hammer sight is probably one of the coolest sights in the game too. The ability to just run around and toggle is super nice. It is a little bit pricier because you have to buy not only the mount, but you also have to get the sight and this little DP reflex sight, so it can be a little bit more pricey. But in terms of control, I think the hammer is honestly at the top. But it's definitely not rivaled. If you guys know No Food After Midnight, he made the ammo chart for like all the best ammo in the game. If you pop into his stream right now, I bet you he is rocking the EOTech HHS. This thing, in his words, I asked him about it because I don't see a lot of other people running it. He says when you ADS with this sight, it actually doesn't impact your game's performance because it's picture-in-picture, whatever the hell that means. So you actually get a pretty nice close range and medium range with this gun, but the close range is insane because if No Food's right, that extra ADS or no lag when you ADS really seems to matter. And low-key, he's one of the best players ever, so I kind of have to respect his opinion and show this sight. If you want to mess around, it's about 30 grand. If you want to mess around with a holographic with slightly more range than the other holographics, I think this one's definitely the one to go to. But real quick, before we move on to long-range sights, I love the monster scope, okay? I know people hate it. It's not that renowned. People come into my stream all the time and tell me to take it off my guns, but I don't listen because I like this sight, and honestly, I think Tarkov's all about like figuring out what's best for you, etc., blah blah blah, happy-go-lucky. But For me, this sight works, dude. For hallways and stuff, I feel like I can clear very well. It might not be the best at short range, but for medium range, that didn't disprove my point there. But for medium range, I'm very comfortable with the monster scope. I think you guys should check it out. I definitely enjoy running this thing a lot. But that's enough for medium scopes. I got 2 long range scopes I want to talk about. All right, real quick. When I say long range scopes, I'm not talking about like the Leopold or the Voodoo. If you want to go snipe, go rock one of those guys. But if you're rocking an AR, I would highly recommend the PS320. Veritas actually really likes this sight. Anytime I pop into his stream, he seems to be rocking one of these bad boys, even in Factory, which is a little weird, but it's not if you consider that the normal ADS on it is actually pretty good. And I don't think that the ergo penalty is that bad. 5%. A lot of mediums are gonna run you like 6 or more, so 5% is not too bad. So you can still be pretty flicky and, you know, spin around in ADS rather quick. But what really makes this sight good is the ability to toggle. This is about as far as you're gonna get with range, I think, for a medium range sight accurately. When you toggle this thing, you are just death, dude. For medium range, like from here to the front of that green truck, I can pretty reliably tap anybody. And this sight is only about 30 grand. Personally, this is my favorite sight in the game right now, just because I think people are playing really ratty. So if you can get up to a high vantage point and pick people off, they tend to just scatter and not really know what they're doing. And this sight is perfect for that. For woods, for reserve, for customs. This is my sight, and I think it should be yours too. But let's go to our last sight, and then I'll do a quick honorable mentions. And last but certainly not least, guys, we have the flare. Now, if you want to become the Grim Reaper himself, you pretty much drop the 500 grand and just grab a flare. You're gonna have a quest to rock one of these bad boys eventually, so you'll get a taste of it no matter what. But if you just want to be, like I said, death with 2 legs, buy a flare, because this thing is stupid. There's a reason Landmark complains about him and doesn't want them in the game. He actually deletes everyone he finds, and I can't even really blame him for that because they are ridiculous. You pretty much just take 10 steps, scan, take 10 steps, scan, take 10 steps, scan, and you shouldn't die if you do that properly. The odds that somebody else will find you first at nighttime with this thing is rather low. It's pretty low. And it's just insane. The obvious only drawback is it's 600 grand. So if you're willing to drop that, you'll definitely feel the power, but you're gonna have to go take a shower after your raid. Alright, and my 2 sights to wrap this video up, guys, is the EKB8 and the OKP7. Now, the reason I saved these 2 sights for last are because these 2 sights are how I used pretty much all my money. In all my budget runs, I use these sights because they don't need a mount. They go on most guns, like I said, without a mount. You can just buy an AK, buy whatever, and throw the EKP or the OKP on. The OKP is actually really good on Vals too, but that's because it just doesn't take too much of your screen. But these 2 sights are super, super cheap. I'm talking like 10 to 15 grand. They go on smack almost any gun. They'll give you that ADS. They'll give you that confidence to hit those shots. And I really do think, honestly, all these sights are nice and incredible, and you would like to run a flare all the time. But from a cost perspective, the EKP and the OKP are like just 2 of your best friends. And honestly, they were there with me when I made all my millions, and I think they should be there when you make yours. That's all from me. If you guys have any site recommendations or any tips and tricks or any of that to help new players, leave them in the comments below. That's what I love to do here. Have a nice day. I really appreciate you watching. My name is Barack Age, and I'll see you guys in the next one.